welcome inside the Cam Henderson Center. A rematch of a game just 9 days ago between Marshall, undefeated in conference, 14-3 overall, going up against Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleers just 1-4 in conference. But already this season, a few of those 4 losses come by just a combined 20 points. Bobby Innings and Ben Westfall courtside here at the Cam Henderson Center. And as I mentioned, a rematch of a game from just 9 days ago between these two teams down in Conway, South Carolina. A game that took place on New Year's Day. And to say it was a back-and-forth affair is probably not fair to a back-and-forth affair. It was a tightly contested game between both teams. And then one of the more electric games we've seen across the Sun Belt so far this season.
I mean, look at that three-point total for Marshall. 18 of 51. 51 three-point shots. And these are two teams that hook up a lot of three-pointers. Marshall was able to force turnovers late in the stretch. And head coach Kevin Pedersen talked about it for Coastal Carolina. We just gave that game away. We lost that game. Marshall did not win that one. And so the Chanticleers have to do a better job down the stretch, taking care of the basketball, running some more time, and closing out with a win. But Marshall, you have to be proud of that effort to be able to get back into that game, force overtime, and then Peyton Ilderton. I mean, my goodness, what a performance by her. She came up clutch in that one, 17 points, and not only that, but got the game-winning steal to take it coast to coast to get the game-winning bucket.
Yeah, Peyton Ilderton in that one, she had 12 points until the final 30 seconds of that game, was able to get a bucket and an and-one to tie it up. And then after that, she steals a ball, which you'll see here in just a moment. She steals a ball at the top of the key against Coastal and is able to drive in and get the winning basket in that one for Marshall. It was just an electric game. It's a Coastal Carolina team talking with head coach Kevin Pedersen. He said, we want to keep Marshall out of the paint. We want to push them beyond the three-point line. We want to create Coastal chaos, is what he said. There's that Peyton Ilderson steal as she created chaos for Marshall. We want to create Coastal chaos, take you out of your orientation, and really, really challenge you on the basketball. Kevin Pedersen said, as Ben mentioned, hey, we gave that game away. We only really feel like in our 5 conference games, only feel like there was one game we didn't deserve to win. That was the Georgia Southern loss. And now we get set for action tonight between Marshall and Coastal Carolina. Real quick, we're going to send it to Riley Burnett for a quick hit right before we get started.
Milestones. Now for Marshall, it's the senior guard Tamaya Lewis-Utsey, who's 12 points away from the 1,000-point mark. Now for Coastal Carolina, it's Kristen Williams also playing that guard position. She is 14 points away from that 1,000-point mark. So guys, major history potentially being made today. Back to you.
Kristen Williams will handle the basketball at front for Coastal Carolina. It's this Chanticleers team that has had trouble this season at times, as driving inside is Kinsey Grimes as she goes to the bucket. We'll talk about her later on. Our interesting travel schedule over the last couple days for this Coastal Carolina team as Grimes gets the first bucket for Coastal Carolina. Kevin Pedersen said, we got to take care of the basketball. Take a look at the starters for Marshall, presented by Highmark, as Tamaya Lewis-Utsey lets a 3 fly, can't get it to go. But Marigny comes down with the board for Marshall, goes back up strong and lays it in. Yeast, Lewis-Utsey, Marigny, Ilderton, and Mayer for Marshall. On the other side for Coastal Carolina, Tessa Grady, one of the best players to come out of the state of Ohio in the last couple years. Kristen Williams, who Kevin Pedersen said, that's my Paige Beckers. Paige Bradley, who had a double-double last time against Marshall, Tracy Houston, and Kinsey Grimes, who you saw just get a bucket a moment ago. She'll take another shot. A jumper from the foul line comes off. On the floor goes Houston. She gets the board. Coastal swings it to the right wing. Grady has one come off the far iron. Gets her own board, goes back strong to the basket, and Tessa Grady will lay it in. 6'2" shooting guard is the way she was listed coming out of high school. A lot of length for the Wisconsin transfer. Former Dublin Kaufman Shamrock. 4-2, Chanticleers with the lead early. Lewis-Utsey will take another 3. That's not necessarily her game. She's 0 for 2 from the arc to start this one. And it'll be Marshall basketball to decide its own bucket. Take a look at our impact players for today. Kristen Williams, the Paige Beckers of this team for Coastal Carolina. One of the best 3-point shooters in the country. And for Marshall, Tamaya Lewis-Utsey, Ben.
Yeah, Tamaya Lewis-Utsi. I mean, again, just a fantastic player for the Thundering Herd as Mayer chucks up a three and gets it short off the front of the rim. But Tamaya Lewis-Utsi, I mean, 33 points in that game against Old Dominion last time out. That's a new career high, which she just marked this year with 31 with Appalachian State. I mean, she's a player that can really get in the paint, just drive it into the lane, and she's just unstoppable when she gets that Euro step going.
Three from the corner for Williams. Marshall really wants to pay attention to Kristen Williams today. Preseason second team in the conference, averaging nearly 20 points per game in conference play. She's first in the conference in three-point shooting at nearly 50%. Top of the key, Lewis-Utsi drives inside. Marshall kicking on the wing for Ilderton. Coastal did it last time. Shut down Lewis-Utsi's game getting inside the paint. As a shot comes off, Marigny gets called for the foul down on the block. It's what Coastal did last time. They really shut off the paint for Marshall. The Herd had just 16 attempts from two-point range as that game went into overtime. And it's the same thing they're doing today. They want to keep Marshall out of the paint. It's a Coastal team that really, you look up and down the roster, they only play about 8 players significant minutes. Inside Grimes, this little teardrop inside. She gets her second bucket, and ball nearly stolen away on the inbounds as Ilderton comes away with it for Marshall. Now the Herd just got 5 seconds to get across the timeline. Ilderton gets across with just about a second to spare. Marshall with the basketball, about 3 minutes in, 6-2. Coastal Carolina with the lead. The Coastal Carolina team got off to a hot start against Appalachian State on Wednesday. It was up 23-5 after a quarter of play in Boone. As Marshall Lewis-Utsi driving the baseline and throws it away.
Had a little frustration as well, slamming the table over there on the baseline out of bounds. And you can tell Coastal Carolina, you talked about it, Bobby, shutting down that paint, now allowing Lewis-Utsi to get that Euro step drive inside, kind of challenging her to shoot that three ball.
Down inside looking, it was Coastal for Houston. Marshall knocks it away and forces the turnover. Herd all the way the other end. Ilderton lets it fly from the corner and buries it. Peyton Ilderton, a 40% three-point shooter in conference, going back her last 12 conference games. And the 30-second timeout will be called by Marshall as the Herd wants to talk about its defensive alignment, and that'll stretch it all the way out to a full timeout. Our first time to take a break here in the first half. 6:33 to go in the first quarter. Marshall trailing by 1 to Coastal Carolina as we'll come back with the rest of the first quarter here in just a moment on ESPN+. Back in Huntington, some interesting travel for Coastal Carolina to get to Huntington. Had a flat tire on the bus. Kinsey Grimes took the video. This was how Coastal had to practice a few days ago. You can see the paint going down. Big props to the managers for this Coastal Carolina team. Look at the ball. That's the ball they used to practice a few days ago because they couldn't get to practice because the bus had a flat. And to be honest, that court that was taped down, that was the second time they did it. The first time, they got run over by a tractor trailer in their hotel parking lot, and they weren't able to practice the first time. They said, hey, give us 5 more minutes. We got to tape the court down again.
Hey,
the wonders of basketball.
By any means necessary, right? You got to get that practice in. Coaches will find a way.
Kinsey Grimes got the video. She had 2 buckets early because now she just runs down the loose ball near midcourt. She's going to drive all the way to the basket, throws up a shot on her way to the bucket, and she'll draw the foul on Ari Redmond. And that'll send Grimes to the free throw line as Redmond picks up the foul. And Grimes, who just had that video as we talked about, will head to the line.
And she's been aggressive so far in this game, just finding open spaces to get the shots and charges right into Ari Redmond and draws the contact. Really like her game so far. There's the reason why she started the past 7, now 8 starts in a row for her.
Grimes free throw gets the shooter's roll as it rolls over the front. Just a 62% free throw shooter on the year. Scored over 1,000 points in high school for the freshman. She knocks in both. It's back out to a 3-point lead for Coastal at 8-5. Again, Coastal in that game against App State just dominated the entire contest. As Lewis-Utsi, her first 2-point attempt, rolls off the front. Coastal wasn't able to, Coastal was able to pretty much jump out to an early lead in that one, 18 points after the first quarter, and then never led by any fewer in that one than 14. Coastal works it in the corner. Grady, a really good 3-point shooter, and she'll just bury a triple from outside. 32%, she's tied for 25th in the country and made threes, and she shows you why there. Quick 5-0 run out of the timeout for Coastal. Marshall works it in the corner for Yeast. She'll take a three. It's in. T.Y. Timberland Yeast just 24% from three-point range on the year, but Marshall knows it's going to have to knock in triples in this one to win it. Had 18 last time against the Chanticleers in Conway 9 days ago. Kristen Williams, who Coastal wants to play more the two guard. She'll just launch one from outside, rims out. Rebound comes down to Houston, and just a tough rebound as she puts it back in. Houston gets her first bucket, and it's a 5-point Coastal advantage right now. Yeast goes all the way to the basket, goes up against Houston, draws the foul, and she'll head to the free throw line. Yeast, using her quickness that time, gets around Houston and then draws the foul.
Go back to Coastal Carolina bucket. Great job by Houston there. Just not only get the rebound, but not only that, Ari Redmond was a little bit off balance. As you see the foul there, too much contact. And Timberland Yeast would go to the free throw line. But again, Ari Redmond was just a little bit off balance, trying to fight for that rebound, and Houston ends up getting it. Just a great job of putting it up for the shot as well.
Timberland Yeast, an 81% free throw shooter on the year, and this is the first. And Marshall had troubles with free throws the last time against Coastal. The Herd was just 15 of 31 in that win. And she makes the second. 4-point lead for Coastal. And these two teams last time were tied at the half before both exploded in the third and fourth quarters for more than 20 points each quarter. 13-9. Chanticleers with the lead as Williams comes across midcourt. Williams first in the conference in three-point shooting and threes per game. Grady gets inside, goes up on Williams, and that was a great job by Williams. Hands straight up, alters the shot, and the Herd comes the other way. Marshall just 3 for 8 from the floor thus far. King driving inside, will kick it to Ilderton. She thought about another three. Now she'll go hard to the basket, puts up the shot, gets it to fall, and one. They're going to instead call a charge, though, on Peyton Ilderton. She celebrated it first as if it was an and one. I think one of the officials called a foul. I think she thought it was in there. You take a look at her, she was pumped. But it was a charge call instead.
They celebrate a little bit, then you see that ref throw the fist at the charge call, and you're like, oh man, I just made that bucket. Are you kidding me?
Ilderton in the backcourt just picks up her second foul quickly. She thought she poked it away. But instead, a foul will be called on Peyton Ilderton as she picks up 2 quick ones in a matter of about 5 seconds.
That's big for Marshall as well, because Peyton Ilderton was huge in that game against Coastal Carolina last time out. Not only that, but she's been huge throughout conference play for the Thundering Herd. Now you have to take her out and sit her down with 2 fouls.
Maya Lewis-Utsi will check back in for Peyton Ilderton as I think they forgot to start either the shot clock or the game clock. (13-9), Coastal with the lead. And they're going to try and adjust the clock down. Get a look at the scores table and our officials for today. Our officials, Britton Sherry, Jody Cantrell, and Tiffany Bridges. It's a Coastal team, best three-point shooting team in the conference. But then they also limit their opponents to just 26% three-point shooting. That's first in the conference as well. Williams thought about a three, gets it inside Grimes. Grimes got a couple early, and then she throws it away. Second turnover on Coastal Carolina. That'll be Marshall basketball. Herd trailing by 4 with about 4 minutes to play in the first quarter.
Again, you can see these two teams are doing a great job of just collapsing inside the paint. As soon as somebody starts driving inside that lane, both teams are collapsing well and shutting off any sort of opportunities, and that creates errant passes like that.
Lesson King on the right wing for Marshall, dribbles down inside. She kicks it back up top, Williams. Williams can hit that shot from the outside. It comes off. King trying to run down the rebound for Marshall and will. And then she gets fouled on the baseline by Kristen Williams. A little bit of a scuffle for the basketball. Williams will pick up the foul. That'll be her first.
That's great play by Blessing King as well, because she gets a handle of that basketball and just rips it away and moves her body away a little bit. So that way Kristen Williams has to get that swipe in there and draws the contact.
Ingram in the corner, tries to throw it down inside for Williams. The poor pass that time, and it's taken away by Coastal. Grimes, the freshman from Mansfield, Texas, comes across midcourt. Into the middle for Grimes. Grimes down on the block. Block-to-block pass that time. Gets it in, and a jump ball called. Great defense on the inside by Marshall. The block-to-block passing was beautiful from Coastal, but better defense by the Thundering Herd. And the possession arrow gives the ball to Marshall. Marshall forcing 22 turnovers per game. Second in the conference, top 25 in the nation. Herd's already forced 3 in this one. Coastal at 18 the last time these two teams matched up. Aggressive man-to-man defense from Coastal already in this one. Right wing, Meredith Mayer dribbles around a screen, pull-up jumper on the baseline, drops in. Meredith Mayer last time at 17, had 5 threes. And this time already she gets her first bucket. Maya Lewis-Utsi riding Jimenez up the floor as Jimenez throws it into the court. Grady can't handle it. He fumbles it out of bounds, and a timeout will be called by Coastal Carolina. So a 30-second timeout called by the Chanticleers. As it's 13-11, Coastal Carolina with the lead. But that also brings us to our under 5 break. Coastal is leading by 2 with 2:49 to go here in the first quarter, excuse me. Take a look. This is what Kevin Pedersen had to say about that last game against Marshall. He said, look, basically, to sum it up, he said, we lost the game. He said, I don't necessarily know that Marshall won it. He said, give Marshall credit for capitalizing on our mistakes. He said, but we more lost that game than Marshall won it. And really, Julie Folks agrees.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Marshall just took advantage of those opportunities and forced those turnovers from Coastal Carolina. And not only that, but just able to capitalize and get those points off of turnovers as well. And that's one of the things you have to teach that discipline in those key moments. And I'm sure head coach Kevin Pedersen taught those moments after that loss, saying, to his girls, hey, we just got to clean up those mistakes, hold on to the basketball, and just play smart. Don't get that basketball away and give a team a second opportunity to get back into the game.
It's a Coastal team just 1-4 in conference. Started 0-4. Top of the key, Ingram launches and hits one off the left side of the rim and goes over the backboard out of bounds. But it's a team that's 1-4 in conference. But you talk to Kevin Pedersen. Kevin Pedersen said, hey, look, he said, we like this team, to be honest, this coaching staff. We like this team more than really we like last year's team that started off 4-0 in conference and finished 4th overall. So he said, there's a ton of talent with this team. Injuries have also hurt them at times this year. Great rebound inside as Houston collects it. And she's got the teal hair to match the teal 4 and the teal unis. And that's a 4-point Coastal Carolina lead now with just over 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. East on the right wing for Marshall. Heard 36% from the floor early on. Lewis-Utsi, one of the leading scorers in the conference, has yet to knock one in. Rebound tapped around, and Ingram nearly runs it down, but she can't collect it along the near side. And it'll be Coastal Carolina basketball. Trishandra Williams, Julie Falk said it after that Old Dominion game Wednesday. She said, hey, look, she can knock down that shot. She hasn't been knocking it down lately. Just 20% shooter on the year, she said, but she can. Ball nearly fumbled away, and it is fumbled away. Turnover on Coastal. 5 now in the first quarter for the Chanticleers. Marshall running the floor as Herd gets down inside. Shot clock was never reset on the possession. It's now Lewis-Utsi will just launch from the corner, and it rolls out. Williams across the midcourt stripe. I think Marshall got really kind of confused by that shot clock that time. As another turnover by Coastal. Marshall's defense saving it early. Ingram down inside, just lays it in. Maya Lewis-Utsi give her the assist, give Ingram her first bucket. And it's a 2-point lead for Coastal Carolina now with 53 seconds to play in the first quarter.
That's what you got to do when you force a turnover like that. Your eyes instantly go up the floor and you scan and you see Cassie Ingram just wide open by herself.
Cassie Ingram nearly takes it away. A scrum for the basketball. And the Herd comes away with it, and over and back is going to be called on Lewis-Utsi. Ingram pretty much got tackled at midcourt. No foul was called. Then Lewis-Utsi grabbed it. Take a look. This was a minute ago. The bucket Marshall got. As Cassie Ingram lays it in, but Just a second ago, Ingram nearly tackled at midcourt. Lewis Uzi then fell on it, and to be honest, probably did. And she sat up. She went across midcourt, but I think the frustration from the fans is more where Ingram pretty much got a crossbody suplex. Inside goes Grimes to the basket. Physical game early on. Rebound tapped around and off of Coastal. As Paige Bradley was the last one to touch it, so says the officials. And it'll be Marshall ball. Kevin Pedersen wants the review. Yeah,
Pedersen's want another look at that. He's getting that scrum. You see Timberland East come flying in, try to deflect the ball to herself and try to get into an open space to where she could just run it down and pick it up. So this might be a good challenge call for Pedersen.
The ruling on the floor is out of bounds to Marshall. That play is under review.
As you get a look at our officials today, going to take a look at the call along the far side scores table. Take a look at it again here. So you see Timberland East and Paige Bradley both going for that basketball. What you can't tell is that does Yeast make, so Bradley's arms are outstretched, but does Yeast contact it again right there? Lewis Uzi almost gets in the way. From that angle, I'm not necessarily sure I can make an educated guess.
I think, just judging by that review alone, you see Timberland East come in and kind of smack the basketball a little bit with that left hand. That might be out on Yeast, but at the same time, I mean, does Bradley get just enough of a fingertip there at the last minute to be the last one to touch it to get the ball to Marshall? I mean, this is going to be a very close review.
Early on, Coastal 46% from the field, compared to Marshall's 36% from the field. You get a look at Tamaya Lewis Uzi's family there in attendance today. Lewis Uzi just 12 points away from 1,000 in her career. As the Marshall transfer from VCU, trying to get to that 1,000 mark today. She's scoreless thus far in this one, and she hasn't been scoreless all season in a game. She's been really good for Marshall this year. Second leading scorer in the conference.
It's funny how we point out that Kristen Williams and Tamaya Lewis Uzi so close to that 1,000 mark, and so far, none of them have been able to score in this one. Each team has came up with a game plan to shut down those star players and let everybody else do the work, and so far we got a good one, close one.
You know, we've talked about it all year, how successful Marshall's been with points off turnovers. The turnovers were so important for Marshall in that last contest against Coastal Carolina, as that was when Marshall was able to force 4 turnovers in the final 80 seconds of that one to really win that game. But also tonight, 7 Marshall points off turnovers. Without those points off turnovers, Coastal's really dominating this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Coastal's doing a great job again, shutting down the paint. Anytime Marshall tries to get a drive inside, Coastal's done a great job of just shutting down those lanes. And just really, you see, Coastal's done a great job as we have another look there.
You just can't tell. Lewis Uzi almost comes in and contacts the basketball, maybe, but you can't, or excuse me, not Lewis Uzi, Yeast does, but when Lewis Uzi comes into frame, very difficult to make kind of an assertion there.
And of course, I'm sure the officials will have all the other looks, you know, cameras throughout the arena, but again, back to that talking point, what I've seen from Coastal so far, you see that man-to-man defense a little bit, but they have that tall forward, you know, whichever forward is in play, they'll sink down into the paint. So they'll be stuck on a Marshall forward as well, but they kind of drift back into sort of their own zone. As soon as the player drives in, for example, Tamaya Lewis Uzi, they'll drive in, and that forward that sinks, they'll sink down and have pretty much that double team inside the paint. Shuts down any sort of length. Coastal's done a great job of scheming that to really shut Marshall down. And
what becomes important there is for Marshall to have a 5, a Williams, a Marigny, a Blessing King, somebody to pull that forward. To your point, Tracy Houston, who it's been for the most part, to pull her away from the basket and try and knock down a 3-point shot. If you can't respect the 3-point shot of one of those big players for Marshall, then they're not going to really pull them away from the bucket.
I think they just signaled that it'll be Marshall ball.
But it sounds like, and I'm going to guess, to be honest, there wasn't a good enough look to necessarily say that Yeast was able to the last contact the ball.
That's what I'm wondering.
So it'll be Marshall ball with 23.9 seconds to go in the first quarter. As Hurd gets it in quickly into the corner. Ingram's just going to launch one and knock it in. Cassie Ingram, a beautiful inbound play for Marshall. As Hurd takes a 1-point lead with 14 seconds to go in the first quarter. And an offensive foul. Ari Redmond draws the offensive foul on Tracy Houston. And a real quick momentum swing for the Herd.
And that's huge for Coastal Carolina because now that's Houston's second personal foul. So she might have to sit down with 2 fouls. She will.
Tatiana Harris will come in, the Mars Hill transfer. As the Herd gets another possession now with 12.2 to play in the first quarter. Redmond across midcourt for Marshall, driving inside, gets all the way to the bucket. Left point for Lewis Utsi with 3. Now to Ingram. Marshall's not going to be able to get off a shot. Ingram was able to put it in, but it was after the clock expired. 16-15, Marshall with the lead at the end of the first quarter. Herd looking for win number 10 in a row as you take a look at Cassie Ingram getting her first point, or 5th point of the first quarter on ESPN+. Macarena inside the Henderson Center, 16-15, Marshall with the lead against Coastal. Second time in 9 days these two teams have matched up. And what Julie Falk said really about the last time these two teams played, she said, we got to knock in some threes. We got to continue to do that, and we got to keep Kristen Williams off the three-point line. So far, so Marshall's done.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coastal's done a great job. You see the quote at the top, pack the paint. Coastal's done a great job of packing that paint as well, shutting down any sort of driving lanes as well. Just not allowing Marshall to get inside. And it starts with Tamaya Lewis Utsi as well for the Thundering Herd. And Coastal's done a great job, and I mean fantastic job of slowing her down.
Coastal will get it into Jimenez. Marshall, a quick run in that first quarter is what allows Marshall to have this 1-point lead. Marshall forced 7 turnovers in the final 5:07 of that first quarter as Jimenez attacks the bucket to start the second quarter and gets her first 2 points of the game. That ends a quick Marshall 5-0 run. Peyton Elderton back in, playing with 2 fouls as East merely walks with it. She'll let another 3 launch, and it goes long. Rebound fumbled along the baseline. Coastal bench looking for a foul as Jimenez goes to the floor. No foul called. It'll be Marshall basketball beside its own bucket.
She's kind of shaking off that elbow as well. Maybe just a little hard scrape.
Marshall gets it into Ingram in the corner. She hit a corner 3 earlier in this one. Now Mayer down inside Chesterfield in her first action. Chesterfield up and under, tries to lay it in. Good defense that time by Harris. And straight up, Harris doesn't allow Chesterfield a clean look. It's a matchup between 2 former D2 stars. Harris at Mars Hill and Chesterfield at Tusculum. Foul line extended for Grimes. She bounces inside, goes up strong on Chesterfield. Rebound tapped around. Mayer comes away with it. Marshall will run the floor. Ingram going hard to the bucket. Euro step by Ingram. Cassie Ingram, she's got an early 7, and she leads all scorers.
Yeah, it looked like Paige Bradley as well. Maybe taking a shot to the face. Maybe a hand or a finger just poked her, and she was slow to get up.
Peyton Elderton on the outlet as Marshall will run the floor. Elderton thought about a 3, skip pass to the right wing. Marshall all the way to the corner. Ingram, another corner 3 off the back rim. Rebound tapped around into Grimes' hands. Grimes backing down on Chesterfield. And the Herd will, Shauna Clears will work it to the left wing. Williams cannot find some open space. Inside the 3-point line, Bradley on a jump shot is long. Skip pass to the left corner, Ingram. She'll drive baseline, leaves it off Chesterfield. Chesterfield backing down, tries to go up strong, and a foul is called as Chesterfield tried to go up with one off the glass. As a foul will get called on Jimenez, that'll send her to the line. I mentioned Marshall forced 7 turnovers in the final 5:07 of that first quarter. Riley Burnett was able to kind of figure out why as he hung out behind the Marshall huddle between the quarters. Riley, what you got?
Yeah, guys, I managed to get a few key pieces of information there behind that Marshall huddle, and really, it's not about the pressure on the defensive side. It's also that pressure on the offensive side, being able to attack, create the fast break opportunities, but when they get set up in their sets, being patient, going through their sets, and being really, really careful with the ball movement and really trying to create some supreme scoring opportunities, guys. Back to you.
Thank you, Riley. Fantastic report. Chesterfield misses the first free throw and then misses the second, but Lewis Utsi comes away with the board for Marshall. Now Mayer, right wing, 3-ball up and off the rim, far side. Meredith Mayer last time had 5 threes against Coastal. Wasn't able to connect on that one. Marshall just 1 for 4 from the foul line to start. That's after shooting under 50% the first time these two teams played. Inside, Blessing King thought she got it clean. So did the Marshall bench. Foul called on her. She'll head to the line.
It's a good job by Tatiana Harris, and a great bounce pass to her as well to receive that feed. Again, spreading out Marshall inside the paint to get that open shot. Harris finds a way to get herself to the free throw line.
Marshall top 50 in the NCAA and free throw shooting at 76%. Last time against Coastal, only shot 48%. So far today, just 25%. As the first free throw is in for Harris. Take a look, and yeah, she caught the left wrist that time. Harris just a 53% free throw shooter on the year. Tied it up at 18, and then bricks the second one. And Chesterfield comes away with the rebound for Marshall. So we're all tied up at 18 now. Second tie of the contest. Chesterfield top of the key. She'll let it fly for 3-point range. And Nakia Chesterfield makes up for the free throw line. Misses. Gets her first basket. Marshall's largest lead is now 3 in this contest. Williams near the logo gets inside. A little bit of an elbow double clutch jumper that time. Marshall tries to run the rebound down in the corner, and our officials can't tell who it was last touched by. And they'll give the ball to Marshall.
Head coach Kevin Pedersen not happy with that call.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kevin Pedersen's argument is, hey, you're right there. Why are you asking everybody else?
Especially the official that's so far away on the opposite side of the floor.
Yeah, Kevin Pedersen's probably got an argument. To be honest, that official is within 3 feet of that call. Lewis Utsi kicks to Chesterfield again for 3. Chesterfield coming into today at just 3 threes on the year, but knocks 2 in on back-to-back possessions.
And this is a Marshall system where if you are a forward, you're going to have to learn how to shoot the 3-ball as well. They're going to ask anybody to shoot the 3 as Chesterfield gets fouled on the other end.
So Grimes drives in, and that's almost, you got to make an argument, that's a makeup call for Kevin Pedersen. He believes strongly that the last time should have been out of bounds on Marshall. And that time Grimes goes to the bucket. You see, look at that, Chesterfield nearly straight up. The only opinion that matters is the officials. As Chesterfield will pick up the foul, they'll send Grimes to the line. She's got a team-leading 7 now as she knocks in the first free throw.
And Grimes, I mean, did everything that you were supposed to IQ-wise for basketball. It's just put your shoulder down a little bit and go into that contact.
Grimes knocks in both free throws. It's a 4-point lead for Marshall now with 6.5 minutes to play. Hurd playing its second game without Olivia Olson, who right now, the official word is she's week to week. Olson is averaging nearly 20 points per game in conference. King gets the ball inside. Beautiful feed by Lewis Utsi. And Blessing King is able to lay it in. Nearly a foul call in the backcourt as Kevin Pedersen is livid with the officials, arguing that Williams got contacted in the head by Lewis Utsi. As Williams still down on the floor. No foul was called as you take a look and see him having a conversation on the far side. He's had a lot of conversations with that far side official right now.
And he's got to be careful of, one, you don't want to receive a technical for arguing a little bit too aggressively, but you also, I don't know if you can, per se challenge that play to see if there was a foul, but you got to be careful if you do challenge because Coastal only has 2 timeouts left. So if he does, partake in a challenge and doesn't get it, well, he's down to 1 timeout left.
I think he was more asking the officials to review it. He said, Kevin Pedersen said, Krista Williams, one thing that surprised me about her, she's probably one of the toughest players I've ever coached. He's the 5th head coach that she's had in her college career. First time she's had one for more than a season. Backdoor cut and a beautiful cut by Paige Bradley, just couldn't finish. Then that was something specifically Coastal worked on warming up. They worked on those backdoor cuts and the up and under layup. Chesterfield inside for Marshall as she finishes the layup. 8-point lead now for the Herd, largest of the contest.
Marshall's done a great job of finding those feeds and just getting beautiful passes inside the paint, a little bit of separation as well.
Grimes backing down on Chesterfield. Grimes goes up strong and banks it in. 10 points for Kinsey Grimes. The freshman from Mansfield, Texas, averages 10.5 a game. She's already there with about 5:08 to go in the second quarter. Lewis Utsi looking for her first bucket all the way to the basket and lays it in. Tamaya Lewis Utsi with her first two. She's 10 points away from 1,000 for her career.
I think head coach Kevin Pedersen has a little bit of an argument that maybe there was an arm. Wow, Tessa Grady with a three-point shot.
Tessa Grady takes that one from her hometown of Dublin, Ohio. About 2.5 hours from here. And cuts the Marshall lead down to 5 with 4:40 to play in the first half. Lewis Utsi inside Chesterfield, and a great block by Grady. Chesterfield back up strong and puts it in. 10 points for Nikaya Chesterfield, and she'll head to the line.
And that's what they teach you in basketball, right? You put up a shot right there, you have to follow through with it. If it doesn't go down or you get your shot blocked, you have to follow up with the hands up, try to get the rebound against the putback, and one as well.
10 points for Nikaya Chesterfield. She'll head to the free throw line when we come back on ESPN+. 7-point lead for Marshall. Herd looking to extend its win streak. Marshall has won 9 in a row, looking for number 10. It's the best start for Marshall since 1986-87. Aiming for just its second 10-game win streak in the last 20 years as Marshall. Take a look at what Marshall's been able to do. A couple overtime wins. Tamaya Lewis Utsi has scored in double figures in every contest. Peyton Ilderton nearly 40% from three-point range throughout that entire win streak. And the Herd has really just been on fire ever since that November 30th loss at Morehead State.
Yeah, absolutely. And you ask your senior leaders to step up, they do so. And so Tamaya Lewis Utsi and Peyton Ilderton have done just that. So we have a look at that foul. Good block from behind by Grady. But again, great job by Chesterfield to grab that offensive board, stick with it, put it up and draw the contact and get the bucket to fall.
Chesterfield puts up the free throw and out the back rim. Marshall now just 1 of 5 at the line. As I mentioned, the Herd came into today shooting nearly 76% from the free throw line this season. Top of the key, Grimes driving down to the right side. Grimes throws up a wild shot and it falls off. And Chesterfield, who's playing some big early minutes, didn't play in the first quarter, gets the rebound.
You talk about it with the free throw shooting of Marshall. King, great job driving in, but she gets called with an offensive foul. Great job by Bradley to draw that contact and hit the deck. But you look at Marshall doing a great job free throw shooting, but what was the one blip on their free throw shooting throughout the season against Coastal Carolina?
Bradley took the contact that time. You take a look at it again. And look, Paige Bradley, she's grown up in a basketball family, but also a football family. Her dad played for Texas. Her brother played for Rice. Her grandfather played for SMU. You think she's used to that type of contact every once in a while?
Oh, 100%.
Top of the key, Williams. She'll set the feet and fire. Marigny comes away with the board for Marshall. Kevin Pedersen said when Kristen Williams sets her feet, she's about a 60% three-point shooter. She's 0 for 3 from beyond the arc so far in this one. Top of the key, Marigny. Marigny can knock in the outside jumper, chose not to that time. Yeast on the drive, goes up and under, and gets fouled as she tries to scoop that one up off the glass, and she'll head to the line. Foul will be called on Bailey Louder, the freshman from Tooele, Utah. T-O-O-E-L-E. I'm not gonna lie, had to Google goodness gracious, Google pronunciation that one.
It's got you tongue-tied a little bit.
Yeah, and it wasn't Tooele, it was pronunciation that tongue-tied me. That's just, it's about my luck. As Yeast will head to the line for Marshall. She's 1 for 2 from there today. She drains the first. Take a look again. Yeast just going up and under that time and contacts Louder. 5 points now for Yeast as the next one falls off to the side and the rebound is run down by Bradley. 8-point lead. Marshall matching its largest lead of the contest with 3.5 minutes to play in the first half. Marshall looking to improve to 15-3 overall. Again, the best start for Marshall as Meredith Mayer trips up Grady on the far side. Best start for Marshall since 1986-87. That team for Judy Southern was the Co-Southern Conference regular season champs. Into the corner, Grady just a little bobble that time and a reset, and Grady buries the triple. It's 11 now for Tessa Grady. Marshall lead down to 5.
That's a great job by Tessa Grady. Just regroup herself, take a little side step.
There's Marigny trying to take a 3 of her own, and it comes off the left side. Mentioned Marigny can knock down that outside shot. She was 2 for 6 from outside going into that one before bricking it. On the drive and tripping on the way to the bucket, but I think got tripped up by Tamaya Lewis-Utsi, who's Paige Bradley. And she'll head to the free throw line for the 1-1. That's 5 team fouls now on Marshall.
And Bradley does a great job, a little hesitation. Makes Tamaya Lewis-Utsi question, all right, what's the next play going to be? And she just takes the drive and gets the contact.
Bradley's free throw is up and in. 6 of 7 at the line now is Coastal Carolina. Don't you dare do that with your hands, Ben. Yes, they are 6 of 7. It's a normal thing in life. 7 of 8 now is Coastal, as it's a 3-point Marshall lead. Lewis-Utsi across the timeline. The Marshall leading scorer with just 2 points. She's 10 points away from 1,000 for her career. Right point Chesterfield. Ingram had 7 in the first quarter. Now hands off Redmond. Redmond looking for her first bucket. Just a nice turnaround J that time for Ari Redmond. She gets her first bucket. Redmond, one of the senior leaders on this team in her 6th year of eligibility. Left wing Grimes into the corner. Grady looking for another 3. Gets fouled and knocks it in. Grady's 4th 3 of the first half. She's the only one that's knocked in a triple. She's got 14 now, and she'll head to the line for a 4-point play.
That's a great job by Coastal Carolina as well, because Cassie Ingram and Tamaya Lewis-Utsi are synced up on trying to get that full court defensive press. And so Coastal Carolina, if they can get it into the front court, has that numbers advantage, and it works out as well. Tessa Grady wide open in that corner for the 3, and player for Marshall comes in late, gets the contact.
Grady completes the 4-point play. Makes it 35-34 now. She's got 15 points. Grady, the Wisconsin transferring from Wisconsin, where her brother also played football there for the Badgers. So with Williams scoreless and Lewis-Utsi with just 2, the 2 leading scorers for both teams coming into this game, other players have had to pick up the pace. 1-point lead for Marshall. Lewis-Utsi down inside, turning on Grimes, tries to throw it up off the glass, can't get it to fall. Quickly across midcourt as we turn under 2 minutes to play in the first half. Down inside, Chesterfield with the aggressive foul that time, as she caught the arms of Jimenez, as Jimenez got the feet of Chesterfield moving, and she'll head to the line.
That's going to be the second on Chesterfield as well. So now that's 3 players for Marshall with 2 fouls, King, Chesterfield, and Ilderton.
So Jimenez will head to the line. She also played at Wisconsin before transferring to Charlotte. Played 2 seasons for the Badgers, 55 games. She was a 3-star recruit, ranked in the top 10 nationally when she came out of high school out of Cape Coral, Florida. And Jimenez ties it up at 35. Jimenez goes inside, and you can see just got the feet of Chesterfield moving that time.
Yeah, and the hand swipe down aggressively.
As Jimenez makes both free throws. It's a 1-point lead now for the shot to clears, as they've gone on a quick run now to cut into this Marshall lead. It was a 5-point Marshall lead. Now a 6-0 Coastal run, actually a 7-0 Coastal run, including the 4-point play. And it's Coastal by 1. Lewis-Utsi will take one from the corner, can't get it to fall. Marshall comes away with the offensive rebound though. Bird +1 on the boards, 18-17 in the first half. Ilderton top of the key, step back 3 for Peyton Ilderton off the back rim. Ball rolls around, and Grimes comes away with the rebound. And a foul's gonna be called on Cassie Ingram. I'm not sure she made contact. I think that time it looked to me like Grimes kind of tripped over her teammate that was behind her.
I think they actually got it on Tamaya Lewis-Utsi right there with the right hand, yeah.
Sorry, it was Tamaya Lewis-Utsi. So instead, yeah, there was some contact there from Lewis-Utsi. I thought initially that she had tripped over her own teammate, but the foul will go on the Marshall senior Lewis-Utsi. That's her second. So Marshall with a little bit of foul trouble right now. Lewis-Utsi, Chesterfield, Ilderton, King, and Redmond all have 2 fouls. That'll send Grimes to the line. She's 4 of 4 there early on. Make it 5 of 5.
And it really opens things up for Coastal Carolina to really be aggressive. And yeah, you see that right hand. I mean, that's a good call right there. It's on the right arm of Grimes, restricting her a little bit. So, I mean, that's going to be blown a whistle either way. But, again, that opens up the plays for Coastal Carolina because you can aggressively drive in and force Marshall to foul and potentially force them to back off.
13-2 Coastal run is shaken up by Nakia Chesterfield inside. She's got 12. Her career high 16. As Chesterfield gets the bucket and cuts the Coastal lead back to 1. Williams again from the left wing. Kristen Williams gets her first triple, and it's back out to a 4-point lead for the Chanticleers.
And Coastal Carolina is doing a great job of getting through that two-man defensive full court defense for Marshall.
Lewis Utsi all the way to the bucket. She's got 4 now. 1,000-point counter. She's 8 away. Jimenez across midcourt all the way to the basket, goes aggressively and with the left hand scoops it off the glass. Both teams a helter-skelter pace right now. 4-point lead again for Coastal.
Great Euro step as well. I mean, my goodness.
And Nakia Chesterfield inside again is able to lay it in. Back and forth we go. Chesterfield's got 14. Coastal has made its last 4 field goals in this one. 20 seconds to go. Left wing, Grady with the basketball. Coastal's going to hold for the final shot. Ball all the way into the corner. Williams wide open. 3, buries it. 8 seconds to play now. Marshall's going to have to hurry. 6 seconds. Hurd gets the ball in with 3 seconds. The 5-point Coastal lead. And Lewis Utsi just launches. And it falls well short. A helter-skelter end to the first half as Coastal Carolina makes its last 5 field goals in the first half to take a 5-point lead over Marshall. Kristen Williams knocks in a couple. Tessa Grady's got 15. Kinsey Grimes has got 12. Grady and Grimes, the 2 leading scorers thus far for this Coastal Carolina team. It's a 46-41 Coastal Carolina lead right now. As right now the Chanticleers trying to get their second conference win, as Kevin Pedersen having a conversation with the officials before he heads off, and he's going to talk with Riley Burnett before we get ready to head to our halftime break. As Kevin Pedersen shouting some last-minute instructions to members of his coaching staff, and now Riley Burnett does indeed. He has head coach Kevin Pedersen for Coastal Carolina.
Coach, just walk me through the importance of that run there at the end of the second quarter, being able to pour on the scoring and eventually, cut into the lead there and taking over going into the second half.
Yeah, well, Marshall's a super talented team. Like we're struggling to stop Utsi, and then their post steps in, starts hitting shots. So it kind of becomes a game of you're focusing on defense. It's kind of become who can outscore who. So I think we both ended with our best offensive lineups on the floor. I don't know if either coach said it was their best defensive lineup, but we just came out and said, okay, if we can't stop them, let's see if we can outshoot them.
You guys have done a good job of preventing that Marshall downhill attack. They like to attack the basket. So what have you really done as far as game planning going into this one to try to prevent that?
Yeah, you can't stop everything. So with Utsi, it's just she's so tough getting down court. So it's saying, okay, what are we going to live with? We're going to live with her beating us on threes. She wants to make threes. We can get on that bus and head home and know we gave it a chance. But just trying to make her beat us on that, take away her strength, which is getting downhill.
Thank you, Coach.
5-point lead for Coastal Carolina at the half, 46-41. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Talk about the first half here on ESPN+. Inside to Cam Henderson Center, a 5-point lead for Coastal Carolina as we head to the half. A back and forth first half, really, that saw Coastal fall behind by as many as 8 in this one, but really, this is a Coastal team that all of a sudden stopped turning the basketball over, and that's what really allowed Coastal Carolina to start hitting some shots from the outside. You heard what Kevin Pedersen said. We both had our best offensive lineups in, and that probably showed for what the Chanticleers were able to do against Marshall.
Yeah, went 5 of the last 5 from the field to end that first half. Marshall, of course, 3 of the last 3 as well. So it was just really back and forth, but Coastal Carolina was able to get down inside the paint, draw contact, and get themselves to the free throw line as well. 12 of 13 from the charity stripe were the Chanticleers in that first half, and that really shows with the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers up by 5 right now. They've done a great job of just spreading Marshall out, and not only that, but doing a great job effectively of spreading Marshall out to get open at the 3-point line as well. Marshall's had a little bit of that 2-man defensive press full court-wise, And Coastal Carolina's done a great job of breaking through that and having those wide open shots as soon as they break through.
Take a look at our first half stats. As Ben mentioned, this is a Coastal Carolina team that did a pretty good job in that first half of knocking down some threes when it had to, especially late in that first half. 6 for 10 from the outside. And one of the big stories in this first half as well was the fact that really Coastal Carolina at the free throw line. You take a look, plus 10 at the line where the shot to clears.
Yeah, 12 of 13, and Marshall 2 of 7. And of course, you look back at the first matchup between these two. Marshall did not shoot free throws very well at all. Marshall was just 15 of 31. So if the Thundering Herd wants to get back into this game, again, it's all about creating turnovers and hitting your shots at the free throw line. Not only that, but getting downhill and getting yourself to the free throw line to begin with is Marshall. But Coastal Carolina, again, has done a great job of shutting down those lanes in the paint, not allowing Marshall to get inside underneath the basket and get those shots off. We'll see if Coastal Carolina can keep that going in the second half, and not only that, but just be really effective from the three-point line.
Coastal Carolina, 50% from the field in the first half. The shot to clears, making their last 5 field goals, as Ben talked about. And that allows Coastal to take the 5-point lead. We're going to step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about how successful the Sun Belt has been in the early going here on ESPN+. 5-point lead for Coastal Carolina here at the break, 46-41. Cheer clinic taking place today. As you can look at my daughter there in the background with the green shirt. Just performed on the floor. Take a look at the Sun Belt standings. Marshall at the top right now, 5-0. Coastal at 1-4. But again, this is a Coastal team that had really the only one that Kevin Pedersen said, hey, we lost, was to Georgia Southern. That's a Georgia Southern team with just 1 conference loss this year. And that came at the hands, or excuse me, Coastal just lost earlier this season to James Madison, who's got 2 conference losses. James Madison just lost also to Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern leading Old Dominion right now by 7 as well. Arkansas State plays later in the day against Troy. A lot of success early on as well for this Sun Belt Conference. CollegeInsider.com does their own mid-major top 25, and across the entire Sun Belt, the Sun Belt is littered across the CollegeInsider.com mid-major top 25. First of all, I do want to remind the CollegeInsider.com, Marshall is no longer in the Mid-American Conference as it is currently published. But you look up and down, you've got James Madison and Troy already in that top 10. James Madison's going to fall. They just fell to Georgia Southern. Arkansas State also in that top 10. The Sun Belt littered right now across the College Insider mid-major rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. This conference, I mean, it is a tough battle each and every game that they face off against each other. I mean, you see Marshall right there, 18 in the mid-major, top 20. But I mean, this is conference littered with talent all across the board. I mean, this is a very tough conference. I mean, even the teams toward the bottom of the standings in the conference, they battle each and every time. They're going to give close games, so you're going to have a lot of high-action matchups throughout the weeks. And we have one here today.
5 Sun Belt teams, that are listed in the top 100 of the net rankings as well. Coastal Carolina, actually even at 1-4 in conference, Coastal Carolina 128th. They're number 6 of the Sun Belt in that women's basketball net rankings. Goes to show that really the shot to clears have played better than necessarily that early season record indicates on the year. Just 8-9, 1-4 in conference. Shot to clears trying to hand Marshall its first loss in its last 10 games and its first conference loss today. Coastal leading right now by 5 as the Shot to clears closed that first half on a pretty significant run. What Marshall's going to have to do is somehow run Coastal off that 3-point line in the second half. 5-point lead for Coastal, 46-41. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll have the second half action from here inside the Henderson Center in Huntington on ESPN+. Back inside the Henderson Center, 46-41. Coastal Carolina with the lead over the Marshall Thundering Herd. 15 for Tessa Grady, 12 for Kinsey Grimes in that first half of action. But what we're going to do right now, Riley Burnett had a chance to talk real quick with Julie Falks coming out of the halftime locker room. And Riley, what did Coach Falks have to say?
So the first thing I talked to Coach Falks about, guys, was Nakai Chesterfield coming in, checking in the second quarter. She put up 12 quick points and actually has 14 going into the second half. So I asked her the importance of that. And she changed the subject on me, guys, and she said, right now, it doesn't matter because our defense is abysmal. She said 46 points in the first half given up is unacceptable at all levels. So I kind of transitioned from that a little bit. We started talking about Coastal Carolina's interior defense that was so strong throughout the first half. She said that Tamaya needs to be able to get downhill and create some scoring opportunities for her teammates because obviously Marshall thrives off of getting the ball inside and attacking the paint. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Riley. 4 points, 6 assists for Tamaya Lewis-Utsi in the first half. She's 8 away from 1,000 in her career. But this is also a situation in which Marshall is not really foreign to Ben. This is something we've seen from Marshall all year, that they've trailed at different times throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Marshall's done a great job of getting back into deficits, but I mean, this is a Thundering Herd team that always finds himself in that deficit to begin with, always finds himself down at some point. As you see here, 4-point deficit to App State, 10 points to James Madison, 4 to Coastal in that win, 11 to App State the second go around, and 11 to Old Dominion. So some way or another, Marshall finds a way to be down and still finds a way to get back in this, back into those games. And that's what's got the Thundering Herd at a 5-0 conference start. But it's one of those things you can't rely upon coming back into those games all the time because teams are going to game plan, teams are going to scheme a way around to slow you down and stop you from coming back. So if you're the Thundering Herd, you have to start going to those quick starts and jump out in front. You cannot start slow and just rely upon those comebacks.
What are you telling your team right now? If you're Julie Fultz coming out of that locker room, you heard what Riley said. Tamaya Lewis-Utsi's got to help out our team. We got to play better defensively. What are you telling your team?
Close out on the three-point line. Coastal Carolina was able to get red hot from the three-point line to end that half, and now 6 of 10 from three-point land. So you just got to close out better on the three-point range. And if I'm Marshall, I'm backing out of that full-court defensive press a little bit. You have that two-man, Tamaya Lewis-Utsi, in some cases, Cassie Ingram, maybe Peyton Illerton. You have those two players up top in the backcourt facing that full-court defensive press. I'd back them up. Use them in that front court and just zone out defensively. You cannot allow that defensive press because Coastal Carolina's been able to break through it, and that's what causes the open threes because you're down, numbers advantage.
5-point deficit for Marshall as the second half gets underway. As we talked about, the Herd has faced a deficit in every conference game this season. Lewis-Utsi goes under the bucket, goes up strong, tries to get one to fall off the glass, and rebound tapped around, and Coastal comes away with it. Shauna Clears come into the front court. Can't get that easy transition bucket you kind of talked about, and allows Marshall to set up defensively. Nearly fumbled away. Grimes, who had some quick early points in the first quarter. Skip pass to the corner now. 10 on the shot clock for Coastal. Left wing, 3 up off the back rim, and Meredith Mayer pulls down the rebound. The 31 points Coastal scored in that second quarter was the most points Marshall given up in a quarter all season. That's what leads to the abysmal defense comment by Julie Fultz. Leosha Marigny, she'll take a 3. It's off the back rim. Rebound tapped around, and it falls into the hands of Coastal. If you're Kevin Pedersen, you're going to live with Marshall taking threes like that from a player such as Marigny. If it's Ilderton, if it's Mayer, you're okay. But right now, Marigny 0 for 2 from beyond the arc in this one. Down inside goes Houston. Houston up and under move on Marigny. And Tracy Houston finishes. She's got 6 points, and Coastal pushes it out to a 7-point lead. That's its largest of the game. Marshall led by as many as 8 in that second quarter. Top of the key, Meredith Mayer. She'll launch a 3, and it falls off the right side. And Marshall has gone cold right now. Coastal in the front court now, going back on the attack. Right wing, Houston, she's going to let a 3 fly. It's off the back rim, and Timberland Yeast comes away with the board for the Thundering Herd. Yeast runs the floor. Handoff to Ilderton. 40% shooter in conference play. Nothing but nylon. Ilderton's second 3 of the game. She's got 6. Nearly steals the inbounds pass. And this is what you talked about, Ben. Coastal tries to run the floor, but Marshall slows it down.
Got to get back quickly and set up in that zone.
Into the paint, trying to dump it down inside with a shot at Clears, and nearly turned over, but last touch by Marigny, who will now be subbed out by Chesterfield. 4-point lead for Coastal. 48-44 as the ball bounces out of bounds. Take a look right into your kitchen. Ball blocked on the inside. Great defensive play by the Herd. That could switch momentum a little bit. Marshall gets it on the right wing, Ilderton. Herd's going to try and take advantage now. Left wing, Lewis Utsi, and they're going to give her that three-point shot. You heard Kevin Pedersen talk about that. He said, look, we'll live with that. Inside Chesterfield, backing down, up off the glass and in. Chesterfield with 16. She matches her career high in a Marshall uniform.
I love that right there. A little one dribble to create that separation, step back a little bit. Chesterfield puts the shot up and in.
Down inside goes Coastal. Grady on the drive. And ball was tied up inside by Chesterfield. And it'll be turned over by Coastal. Just couldn't get the shot up.
Both head coach Kevin Pedersen and Tessa Grady can't really believe that call as well, thinking that was off of Chesterfield at least. To stay with the Chanticleers, but instead goes to Marshall.
We mentioned how sloppy Coastal was in the first quarter with the basketball as Lewis Utsi's three falls off. Coastal sloppy with the basketball in that first quarter. Did a really good job in the second quarter. And then that's the first turnover of the third quarter just a moment ago. 2-point lead for Coastal. Inside goes Grimes, drops it off for Houston, who goes up strong and draws the foul on Mayer.
What a pass right there by Kinsey Grimes. My goodness, that bounce pass, that skip right in. I mean, that was a beautiful look. Got into Houston, who positioned her body to get leverage against Meredith Mayer. I mean, look at that. Little two-handed to the side pass. I mean, that was beautiful right inside the lane. My goodness.
Put some English on it. Got it down inside to Houston, who will head to the line, try and get point number 9 and give her team a 5-point advantage. As it rolls off, but coming down with the board, fighting for it was Bradley. She's going to take a 3, and it's a 5-point possession for Coastal. 7-point lead now. Ingram, she'll launch quickly from the corner for the Herd as a shove by Grady is not called. That was a two-handed shove along the baseline. Not called and goes off of Meredith Mayer. And it'll be Coastal Carolina basketball. Yeah, Grady got away with the shove that time.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a two-hand push, and you can see Meredith Mayer really frustrated with that. Julie Folks is going to stay quiet over there because, I mean, it's been back and forth. Both sides, I mean, they had some pushing and shoving and just not had the whistle.
It's been physical, to say the least. Ball down inside, nearly taken away by Yeast. And I'm going to be honest, to me, that's not a foul either way. That's a held ball, if anything. Houston and Yeast, I thought, had simultaneous possession. Maybe Yeast had position. It's a good defensive play. I thought that was a jump ball, if anything.
I think where Yeast got underneath and smacked the ball a little bit, the ball was kind of getting out of the hands of both players. So we'll see another look right here real quickly. Yeah, ball gets out of the hands a little bit, and Houston's just over top of Timberland Yeast. That's a great job by Yeast of getting that body leverage and getting underneath to draw that contact.
Ilderton step back 3, knocks it in again. 9 for Peyton Ilderton now, all 3 on 3-point shots. She's got 3 in this one, or she's got 9, excuse me, in this one. Grimes inside, up top to Williams. Good defense by Marshall closing out. Williams, jump shot just outside the paint. Kristen Williams shows she's not just a 3-point shooter, as she's got 8 now. 6-point lead again for Coastal. Ilderton goes right around a screen as Marshall works around to the top of the key. Chesterfield leads Marshall with 16. Down inside King. Marshall working it all the way around the perimeter. 10 on the shot clock. Ball nearly thrown away by the Herd. Now 8. Ingram trying to get some space all the way inside. Scoops it up with the left hand. Can't get it to fall. Good job by Ingram to create an opportunity, but can't get it to go down. Under 5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Marshall last time had 18 threes against Coastal. Herd 7 for 25 in this one. All the way to the bucket go the Chanticleers. Rebound down into Harris's hands. Great job by Williams creating some space for herself. Shot off the back rim. Rebound tapped down to Peyton Ilderton, her first board of the day. Ilderton into the corner. Ingram, 3 from that same spot. She hit one the other day. Rolls in! Off the rim! backboard, nearly the top of the backboard. As Cass Ingram gets the shooter's roll, she's got 10. 3-point Coastal Carolina lead. Kevin Pedersen can't help but smile. 8 threes now for Marshall. 4 minutes to play in the third quarter, excuse me. Grimes on the drive to the bucket, throws it up off the glass and falls. Grimes has got 14.
These teams are creating some improbable shots that somehow get those to fall. My goodness.
Grimes has had as many as 25 in a contest earlier this year against Gardner-Webb. The freshman showing her skills so far today. Chesterfield, 3-ball off the left side of the rim, and rebound can't be run down, and it'll go out of bounds. 3.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Marshall trails by 5. Coastal Carolina starting to really establish itself in this game on ESPN+. Get a look at the Coastal Carolina huddle as the shot clears. Lead by 5. 3.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Kevin Pedersen, the coach. 17 seasons at Lander. He recruited the all-time leading scorer in Division II, LaShonda Childs, in addition to the rest of his accomplishments at Lander in Greenwood, South Carolina. He just picked up his 500 career win back on December 29th as well. 501 and 246 in his career. We mentioned earlier the fact that Coastal Carolina had some travel issues in Boone, and the managers had to take down a court in their hotel parking lot for them to practice. Kevin Pedersen was a manager at Clemson for 5 seasons. He was a manager at one point under Rick Barnes, the Tennessee head coach. He has a lot of appreciation for student managers.
Yeah, and experienced as well.
Cross midcourt comes Jimenez. She leads the team with 3.5 assists per contest. So far in this one, she's got 2 assists in this one. She's just a little bit off of her average. Ball nearly taken away by Marshall. Scrum for it on the floor, 9 on the shot clock. Into the corner, Williams. Marshall left her. She got off a 3 and not able to drain it. King comes away with the board for the Herd. Marshall, the chance to cut into the 5-point lead now. Yeast down inside Chesterfield, wide open. And Chesterfield's got a new career high of 18. 3-point lead now for Coastal. Jimenez drives inside on Chesterfield, misses the shot. Marshall comes away with the board. Herd can tie or get within 1 on this possession. Yeast, corner 3 for the tie, is off the front rim. Again, Thundering Herd playing today without Olivia Olson, who's week to week. She had 6 threes, 6 of Marshall's 18 the last time these two teams played. They played 9 days ago, went to overtime. Peyton Ilderton had the last 5 points of the contest to give Marshall the win. Speaking of that, number 5, Kristen Williams, she's got 10 now. She's 4 away from 1,000 for her career. Tamaya Lewis-Utsi with an extended absence sitting on the Marshall bench. Chesterfield, she'll launch from 3-point range, rattles out. Blessing King comes away with the board for Marshall. A scrum underneath the bucket. Herd will reset now as the shot clock reset to 20. Ilderton gets inside the paint. Up top, Chesterfield. Marshall's a little bit out of sorts offensively. 6 on the shot clock now. Ilderton moving right, gets inside, drops it down for King. A beautiful time for Peyton Ilderton. And Coastal Carolina's lead is cut to 3 again with 90 seconds to play in the third quarter.
I'll tell you what, Bobby, these two teams, every time there's a drive inside the lane, these two teams have been able to find some beautiful passes to get down to find an open shot. My goodness, there's one right there.
Beautiful drop down inside, but the shot is missed and then lost out of bounds by Harris. Official gives the ball to Marshall. Coastal Carolina bench doesn't like it, and again, I'm going to be honest, I thought that went off of Marshall as well.
It's been some 50-50s, to say the least.
Couple substitutions come on for Marshall. Redmond will check in for the Herd. Actually, just 1, excuse me.
You mentioned Olivia Olson, big in that last game against Coastal Carolina with 6 3-pointers. Marshall needs to find somebody to step up big from the 3-point line.
Shot up by Chesterfield, and thought she got fouled on the way to the bucket that time. No foul call. Grimes running the floor, swings it to Williams. Now into the corner, Louder. She'll put up the tray. falls off, and again, bodies go flying to the floor as Yeast comes away with the rebound. Yeast across midcourt. Top of the key, King. King on the way to the bucket, kicks out Redmond. Redmond, Marshall on the weave. Redmond gets inside, rims out. Ball bouncing around, bodies on the floor again as the jump ball arrow gives it to Coastal Carolina. And at this point, you got to be careful. The amount of bodies on the floor, the amount of physicality in this game, you just got to be careful when it goes too far at some point.
You don't want anything too flagrant, we should say, but it just shows the physicality of the Sun Belt and shows the physicality of this game. I mean, this is back and forth last time. Both of these teams won this one. Coastal Carolina wants revenge for that overtime loss. Marshall wants to sweep. It's a very tough physical battle.
3-point lead for Coastal Carolina with 37 seconds to play here in the third quarter.
Again, if you're Marshall, no Olivia Olson, you have to have somebody step up from the three-point line.
Marigny gets inside on Jimenez, jumps right into the body. Tried to get the foul call as well, but Jimenez instead gets the bucket. She's got 8, and it's a 5-point Coastal lead now. Coastal's pretty much been right at 5 the entire third quarter. Lewis Utsi just checked back in. 12 seconds to go on the game clock now. Yeast asking for a screen, gets it. Marshall will work it to the wing for Redmond. She'll let one fly from the outside. Rebound tapped around. Coastal comes away with the board. 1 second left. From mid-court, Grimes will let it fly, and it's wide left. So an even third quarter. Both teams with 15 points, so Coastal hangs on to the 5-point lead, 61-56. The decisive 10 minutes coming up on ESPN+. 5-point lead for Coastal Carolina as we get set to play the fourth quarter of action. You get a look at Marshall head coach Julie Fultz, second season at Marshall. Her team has won 9 in a row, 29-23. Of course, started last season just 7-17, her first season at Marshall. After that, Marshall won 8 of its last 11, and then 14-3 to start off this year. So they're 22-6 in its last 28 games. Territory Marshall's not unfamiliar with. Curtis trailed in every conference game this year, but been able to win each one. Marshall's led by as many as 8 in this one. Down inside for Chesterfield. Chesterfield goes up to the bucket. Tried to get around the long arms that time of Houston. Couldn't get it to fall. And Coastal comes away trying to extend the lead now. Marshall with only 4 points today from Tamaya Lewis-Utsi at leading scorer. She's 8 away from 1,000 for her career as Grady drives to the bucket, banks it in. 17 now for Grady. It's a 7-point Coastal Carolina lead. Redmond across midcourt for Marshall as the Herd trying to trim into this Coastal Carolina lead. Down inside for Lewis-Utsi. She goes strong to the bucket, and she'll get herself to the free throw line. It's a place Marshall has not done well at thus far today, but Kevin Pedersen mentioned he wanted to keep Marshall off the foul line. The Herd wants to go to the foul line.
Yeah, and what's so surprising is this is the first time Tamaya Lewis-Utsi is getting herself to the free throw line today. That's usually one of her best aspects of her game, is just drawing that contact and getting herself there to the charity stripe, and this is the first time today.
Lewis-Utsi, 77% free throw shooter on the year. She was 5 for 14 against Coastal Carolina 9 days ago, but she rattles in the first one. She's got 5. And now 6. Just 6 points away from 1,000 for her career. Back down to a 5-point lead for Coastal Carolina. Across midcourt come the Chanticleers. Williams nearly walked with it on the wing. As Coastal works around to the top of the key. Grady now listed at 6'2", but a shooting guard. She's quick on the ball. Jimenez, couple jab steps. Now down inside looking for Chesterfield. Houston goes up and under. And Houston beat Chesterfield that time. That's also a really good entry pass by Jimenez, throwing it to her player and not allowing Chesterfield to really even have a chance to make a defensive play.
Yeah, both of these teams have done a really good job of those entry passes inside the paint. It all starts with underneath the basket, just allowing that separation, and good job by Houston to get that separation to give herself a chance to get that entry pass.
Houston's free throw off the back rim. Take a look at the foul one more time. Just a really good entry pass, you see, and then gets underneath, and Chesterfield kind of forced a foul. That's her third. Houston's second free throw falls right in. Quick scores from across the conference. James Madison leads Georgia State by 4. Georgia Southern leads by 15 over Old Dominion. And App State leads Southern Miss by 7. Other games take place later today. Top of the key, Chesterfield, as that's what Marshall wants to do, pull out that 5 out of the paint. King all the way to the basket. Now for Marshall, tries to go up with a tough shot. No foul call, that's what Julie Fulks wanted. And now Coastal Carolina comes the other way, leading by 6. Stop, pop, jumper from Jimenez, and falls off. Chesterfield pulls down the rebound for Marshall. Marshall -4 on the boards in this one. Ilderton gets inside. Ilderton goes up strong off the glass, high off the window. Peyton Ilderton's got 11. She's averaging 9 points per game, going back her last 12 conference game to last season. She just barely goes over that average with 11 today. Under 8 minutes to play, Coastal leading by 4. Down inside, Houston goes to work on Chesterfield again, and that's where Coastal wants to go with the ball right now. 11 points now for Tracy Houston. 6-point lead again for Coastal. Marshall 8 for 30 today from beyond the arc. Mayer, she's gonna let one fly. It's off the rim, no good. King, a strong rebound. Blessing King goes back up strong. She hesitated, gets her own rebound again, gets tied up on the floor. Possession arrow will give it to Coastal.
So many times as a player inside the paint, when you get that offensive rebound, you hesitate a little bit because you think a defender is going to jump up and try to block. So you hesitate, maybe a little bit too much hesitation there from Blessing King, and she'll sub out as well. Again, that hesitation, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it hurts you in the end, and there for Blessing King, it hurt a little bit.
Yeah, she was wide open under the bucket, and I think just felt there were too many players near her. 6-point lead for the Chanticleers right now. 7:15 to play. Cross midcourt comes Jimenez. She turned the ball over 8 times last time these two teams played. Just 2 today. A lot better at hanging onto the basketball. Inside goes Jimenez. Steps right around Chesterfield, but can't convert. Lewis Utsi running the floor for Marshall. All the way to the basket. Throws up the shot. Can't get the foul call. Lewis Utsi struggling today for Marshall, just 2 for 12 from the floor. Coastal really trying to move this Marshall zone defense. They really want to get a 3 ball, it looks like, for Grady or for Williams, and instead, the Chanticleers turn it over. Running the floor, Marshall, Ilderton, corner 3 again. Ilderton, 4 for 5 from the outside, and that cuts the Coastal lead down to 3. She's got 14.
Good recognition as well from Lewis Utsi to see that she has Ilderton on the right. Could have taken it herself and drive in, but instead kicks it out for the 3-point play.
Marshall takes it away right at midcourt. Another huge defensive play by Peyton Ilderton late in a ball game. And Julie Fulks says that player comes up the biggest in the biggest moments.
I tell you what, Jimenez just saved a big-time bucket for Peyton Ilderton as well. I know you don't want to foul in any sort of scenario, but right there, that was probably a smart foul because Ilderton was going to take it coast to coast to the bucket. But a smart foul right there.
Ilderton, another big steal. She's done that in 3 of the last 4 games for this team. Marshall gets it to Ilderton. 3 for the tie. Got it! Peyton Ilderton's got 17. She matches her season high, and we're tied up at 66. Marshall crowd coming alive. Inside, Chesterfield gets called for the shove as Tracy Houston barking at Nakia Chesterfield after the play, and Houston and Chesterfield both just picked up fouls, and that's 5 on Chesterfield. She just got the personal and the technical.
I'm about to say, I saw the technical point to Houston.
It was both, double technical.
They'll have to look at it, 100%. I think the officials will step out to look at it for a second, but that's huge if Marshall loses Chesterfield, if that's a double technical. I didn't see really much barking of anything from Chesterfield, to be honest with you. I thought she was laying off a little bit. Houston.
That would be 4 on Houston and then 5 on Chesterfield.
That's huge if that's a double technical.
That's where they've got it right now. The official scoring has got it at 5 for Chesterfield and 4 for Houston. Chesterfield's got a Marshall career high of 18. You take a look again after the foul, after the shove down inside, and that does look like it was a shove. Houston got up as Chesterfield, you see a couple comments there. Houston continued to talk. They tried to back her away, did that Coastal Carolina bench.
And I'm kind of surprised, Bobby, that they're not even looking at it. They're just going to continue on. Marshall loses Chesterfield for the rest of the game.
I think that the technical was more just the conversation that kept going.
Yeah.
5:37 to go. Tied up at 66. Down inside, Jimenez gets tied up. Tamaya Lewis-Uzi ties up Jimenez inside. And that's now 4 turnovers in the last 2:15 for Coastal Carolina.
And that's what worked for Marshall in that first quarter, was causing those turnovers. Get yourself back into the game, or at least take the lead. Coastal Carolina did a lot better job in those second and third quarters to be able to take care of the basketball. Now Marshall's adding that pressure a little bit.
Marshall can take the lead on this possession. Lewis-Uzi with the basketball, the top of the key for the Herd. 10 on the shot clock now for Marshall. Herd gets it to Ilderton. She thought about it. She'll rotate it right wing. Yeast, 3 for the lead. 9-0 run by the Thundering Herd gives Marshall the 3-point advantage with under 5 minutes to play. Lewis-Uzi nearly takes it away. Loose ball on the floor. Lewis-Uzi comes away with it. Marshall down inside for Yeast. Yeast, bucket up. Rolls off no good, and rebound pulled down by Grimes. Great job by Williams that time, getting underneath of Yeast to not make it an easy shot. Now Grimes walks with the basketball.
Yeah, Williams did a great job. We'll go back to that play right there. Williams did a great job of transition, getting back, because there was a scrum for the basketball. That's what you want. You want one of your defenders to get there to the bucket to shut that one down.
3-point lead for Marshall. The final 4:37 coming up after this on ESPN+. Three-point lead for Marshall on the heels of a 9-0 run against Coastal Carolina. Take a look at what's coming up for the shot that clears. 2 games against 2 of the top 6 in the conference, that being Southern Miss and Troy. Other than that, a lot of winnable games coming up for this Coastal Carolina team. You can argue should be a lot better than 1-4 in the conference right now. On the other side for Marshall, the Herd, the tough schedule doesn't get any easier. Marshall has to go on that Virginia road swing of JMU and Old Dominion. Upcoming schedule brought to you by the Marshall Health Network. For the Herd, of course, as ULM, and then welcomes in Troy, who's 4th in the conference towards the end of the month. All right, 4.5 minutes to go. Thundering Herd on the heels of a 9-0 run. Timberland Yeast gets inside for Marshall, and the Herd will have to reset it. As well as good defense by Houston, cutting her off on the drive. Ilderton hands off left wing Mayer. She's got just 2 points today. Now Marshall gets it for Timberland Yeast. Yeast all the way to the bucket. Throws up a wild shot off the glass. Good defense by Coastal Carolina that time down the floor.
Yeah, it's a great job by Houston, just keeping the hands up, not moving her feet, just standing firm and forcing a tough shot.
16 Coastal Carolina turnovers today. Grady all the way to the basket on the drive. And a block called on Ariana Redmond. And Julie Fawkes goes to her knees in disagreement.
Shows the emotion of this game. I mean, again, you have to see if Redmond sets the feet. Because if she's moving them a little bit, they'll call that all the time defensively.
Julie Fawkes obviously did not agree with the call as Redmond picks up number 3. And that'll send Tessa Grady to the line. Coastal today from the line. 13 for 16. Grady's got 17. She's 1 for 1 from the line today, and the first one's off the back rim.
Just check it out, Bobby.
Yeah, Redmond slid in there just a touch late.
Yep. Good call.
As Grady rattles in the second one. 69-67 now. 2-point lead for Marshall with just under 4 minutes to play. Hurd looking for a bucket. Louis Utsi gets it to Mayer. Mayer tried to pop out for the open three, but it wasn't there. Louis Utsi goes to the basket. Teardrop off the glass, and a foul's going to be called. That's 5 on Houston now. Or, excuse me, that's on Tracy Houston. PA said Tatiana Harris, but that was on Houston. And they'll send Louis Utsi to the line. As Mambo number 5 plays over the Cam Henderson Center speakers.
And again, Tamaya Louis Utsi doing what she does best, and that's getting herself to the free throw line, driving in, drawing the contact. Now gets interesting, Bobby, because 3:42 left to go in the game. Both teams are at 4 fouls, 1 foul from each, and both teams are in the bonus.
Louis Utsi knocks in the first. She's got 7 now, looking for number 8. And she's got it. 4-point lead for the Herd now with 3:42 to go. Marshall better in the second half from the line. At the half, the Herd just 2 for 7. Now 4 for its last 4 in the second half. Chandra Williams checks in for Blessing King for Marshall.
Cassie Ingram also in, so I think Julie Folks is trying to get the defensive approach here on this possession.
11-1 Marshall run over the last 2:40. 6 turnovers for Coastal in the last 4 minutes. Nearly a double dribble that time, as Coastal trying to force it into the hands of Williams. Grimes just going to go to work herself, goes up and under, and draws the foul on Williams. Grimes just continued turning the body, jumped into the arms of Williams, who just came in, draws the foul. That'll be the second on Williams, and Grimes will head to the line. Grimes 6 for 6 from the stripe today.
I mean, it's a great job by Coastal Carolina as well, because you had Grady to the right side at the post. And so Williams just kind of having to focus on 2 players at once. It's either Grimes or Grady.
First free throw is in for Grimes. You mentioned how well Marshall's played defensively at times today, with the exception of that second quarter. Tamaya Louis Utsi again, 5 steals today. As you look at that foul from Williams. She came into today one of the tops in the country, 6th in the country in steals with 59. Only going to add to that mark with 5 more today. So back down to a 2-point Marshall lead with 3:13 to go. Ilderton, a couple big threes a few moments ago. Now Mayer, she's going to try for a big 3. Mayer buries. 5-point lead for Marshall with 3 minutes to play. Inside goes Grady, a beautiful drive by Tessa Grady. And the answer that time, she's got 20.
And it starts because 2 Marshall players hit the floor. Meredith Mayer and Timberland Yeast both on the ground as Coastal going in offensive transition, and works out to get the open bucket.
East left wing driving in for Marshall. Hurd gets it from Mayer, now down inside Blessing King. Back to Louis Utsi. Louis Utsi driving on Grimes. Grimes in the air. Louis Utsi off the glass and in. 2 points away from 1,000 in her career, and it's a 5-point Marshall lead with 2.5 minutes to play. Her mother across the way holding up the number 2 in the air. Down inside goes Jimenez, driving on Ilderton, and a charge is called. That's the 4th time in the last 5 games that Peyton Ilderton has made a defensive play in the 4th quarter that has been huge. And against JMU, tied up the Dukes late in that one. At Coastal Carolina, gets the steal late. Against Old Dominion Wednesday, forces an offensive foul and a turnover. And then today, forces another offensive foul, does the senior from Logan. 2 minutes to play, Marshall by 5. East on the right wing for the Herd. Nearly has it poked away and runs it down herself. Marshall gets it to Louis Utsi with 5 on the shot clock. Louis Utsi to the bucket for 1,000, rolls out. Nearly gets her own rebound and fumbles it out of bounds, and I think she was put on the line anyway. It'll be Coastal basketball.
Jimenez is the one that creates and starts that defensive stop for Coastal Carolina. That pass to Timberland Yeast. She's holding the ball for a second. Jimenez kind of pokes at it, puts it up in the air. And so it gets Marshall out of sorts offensively and has to scram. Good job by Jimenez to start that defensive stop.
Minute 33 to go. 5-point lead for Marshall. Grady gets inside, nearly fumbled the ball. Ball was fumbled. Marshall tries to save it in. Does Peyton Ilderton as she crashes into the front row. As Grady and Ilderton collide, Grady comes up, gives a shoulder into Ilderton. As you can hear the fans, Ilderton just kind of shrugs it off. 5-point lead for Marshall, minute 27 to play.
And you see Julie Folks saying, use your head. Don't do anything stupid right now to get a technical.
From 3, cuts the Marshall lead back down to 2. Paige Bradley's got 8, and that's a big bucket. She faked the pass and drills the 3. 2-point lead for Marshall with 81 seconds to go. Her trying to hold on ESPN+. 2-point lead for Marshall with a minute 21 to go. The Herd trying for win number 10 in a row. Its second 10-game win streak in the last 20 years. Trying to get win number 15. As Tamaya Lewis-Utsi, 2 points away from 1,000 for her career, brings it across the midcourt timeline. There goes Blessing King to the bucket up against Grimes. King nearly walked with it. The Herd will get it out for Ilderton on the wing. Ilderton's got 17. Second leading scorer for Marshall today behind Chesterfield with 18. Ilderton inside, goes to the bucket, lays it in, and the foul. Peyton Ilderton with 19, a new season high for the senior from Logan.
Big-time players make big-time plays. Peyton Ilderton, how about it? Drives in against the much taller Kenzie Grimes. Gets the bucket to fall and one. And now Marshall making a little bit of defensive substitution. Cassie Ingram in now.
Ilderton making up for what Marshall has lost recently with Olivia Olson. And she's got 20. Previous season high was 17, also against Coastal Carolina. 5-point lead with 50 seconds to play. Jimenez driving inside, turns over the basketball as the jump ball, or excuse me, no turnover, as the possession arrow goes to Coastal. 44.7 seconds to go.
I think that was Peyton Ilderton, the one that got a hand on the ball. Either her or Timberland Yeast, so another big defensive play.
5-point lead now for Marshall. 3 from the corner is up. Rolls off, rebound batted around. King comes away with it, throws it away. Williams collects, and Ilderton comes away with the board for Marshall. As Ilderton, did she call timeout, or is a foul called on Coastal? I think they're going to say Ilderton called timeout. I think an inadvertent elbow went to the head of Jimenez that time. The officials are talking a little bit. Yeah, they're going to go take a look at this. They're going to see if Ilderton hit her with the elbow. It was inadvertent, if anything. As you see the officials go over to talk to Julie Folks. Peyton Ilderton, 1 point off of her career high. She had 21 last year in the tournament against Appalachian State. She's got 20 so far in this one. And in talking with Julie Folks, whenever Marshall, obviously Olivia Olson goes out injured week to week right now against Appalachian State.
The previous play is under review.
Take a look at it here. There's Ilderton with the rebound, and she tried to come around. It's an inadvertent elbow, if anything. But Julie Folks said, hey, look, we got to make up for 15 points for Olivia Olson over the next couple games that we got to do. So if that's Peyton Ilderton comes up with 5, Nakia Chesterfield comes up with 5, Lewis-Utsi maybe 5, there's your 15. Today, Marshall has its leading scorer with Tamaya Lewis-Utsi with just 10 points. But Ilderton, a huge 20. And Nakia Chesterfield with a huge 18. That's exactly what you're talking about if you're Julie Folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Big-time players need to step up. I mean, you lose one of your key starters, it's next man up. And that's what every team preaches, is that next man up opportunity. I mean, you see the foul right there. When you're an offensive player and you get that rebound a little bit, you have defensive players all around you. You try to, like, shake around a little bit because you don't want that jump ball. Instead, when you shake around a little bit and try to turn your body, you want to get that hand swipe to where you can draw the contact, draw the foul. That's what Peyton Ilderton was doing right there. See what the officials rule, but again, you ask amongst your players who could step up and make those big plays. So far, it's been Ilderton today.
5-point lead for Marshall. And really, you saw that footage. There's no question if she made contact with the head of Jimenez. I think if anything, you look at that, it's inadvertent contact. But because of how physical this game has gotten and the back and forth nature of this one, I think it's a smart review by our officials as well.
And you got to go back to just moments ago when Ilderton was arguing a call with an official right there, and Grady got a little shoulder check in. Maybe the officials are saying, okay, maybe that elbow could extend from that. Who knows? We have to take all accounts into the possibility here, and it's going to be huge because if Marshall ends up getting called the foul here against Peyton Ilderton, then that's going to get the ball to Coastal Carolina for a chance to make this a one-possession game.
Get a look again at Tamaya Lewis-Utzi's parents there. She's 2 points away from 1,000 in her career. Also in action today, the Marshall men tipping off at 4 o'clock down in Atlanta. Saw an interview yesterday with local news station from Peyton Ilderton and Meredith Mayer. They mentioned how much they love the gym down at Georgia State. Marshall men going to try and see if they love that gym just as much. You can look at Brad Smith, the Marshall president there on your right. He's in attendance for quite a few Marshall sporting events. Not just the big ones either, not just football. He's in attendance for a majority of soccer matches, basketball games throughout the season as well.
He's everywhere.
He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. The officials talking, and what's going to be the ruling?
The ruling on the floor stands. Marshall ball after the timeout.
Peyton Ilderton, just an inadvertent elbow that time. As the Herd will inbound the basketball in front of its own bench, up 5 with 31 seconds left. It's a similar situation to Coastal with the lead last time these two teams played. Marshall gets it in for Lewis-Utzi, and the Herd now gets it for Ingram. And Ingram will be fouled near midcourt. And that'll send Cassie Ingram to the free throw line.
Took Coastal Carolina a little bit too long to foul there. It's about 5 seconds that went off the clock for the Chanticleers. I thought they would have fouled a little bit sooner as soon as that ball got into play.
Ingram, an 83% free throw shooter on the season. Doesn't go to the line a ton, just 10 for 12 at the line on the year. 80-74 with 26 seconds left now for Marshall, looking for win number 10 in a row. Trying to extend the program's best start since 1986-87 as she's short on the second. 6-point lead now for Marshall with 23 seconds left. Williams directing traffic, hands off on the wing for Grady. Grady goes around Ingram to the bucket. Grady's scoop shot falls off. Rebound tapped around. Still on the floor. Bradley gets it back to Grady. And is a timeout called? Yeah, timeout was called. Exactly.
And that's big right there because Grady just sinked a 3 from the right side corner. That's big.
11 seconds to play as they kill the lights just to try and get the energy inside the Henderson Center. This is, again, a situation in which Marshall is very used to. The Herd has trailed in each of its conference matchups this season and come back to win. You look, the last 2 games, Marshall has trailed by double digits. Never got behind by double digits today. But really, Coastal led by as many as 7. That was with 9.5 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. And since then, Marshall has been able to provide itself some cushion. At the start of this 4th quarter, it was 61-56. Coastal Carolina had the lead. Since then, Marshall has outscored the Chanticleers by 11.
And again, if you're Marshall, if you're head coach Julie Folks, you don't want to have to rely upon comebacks so often.
It's almost like they need it to motivate them.
Yeah. But again, you don't want to have to rely upon those comebacks every single game because then you have to wonder how many more games can you go coming back before a team recognizes that and just builds further separation.
6-point lead for Marshall with 11 seconds to play, but with the nature of the matchups that these two teams have played this season, both on New Year's Day and today, that's not a safe lead. All inbounded, 9 seconds. Williams launches from way outside, way long. Rebound rolls into the Coastal Carolina bench, but with 5 seconds to play. Coastal from three-point range now 8 for 22 today. This was the best three-point shooting team in the conference coming into today. Williams gets the inbounds again. Still working it around. Marshall nearly takes it away. And that's going to do it. The Herd again, the comeback kids. 80-74. Marshall picks up the win. 15-3 overall now. 6-0 in conference. 10 in a row for the Thundering Herd. They may not have deserved it last time, but they deserve the win today.
Yeah, absolutely battled in this one. And we mentioned it earlier in the broadcast and earlier during breaks, 19-0 in terms of points off of turnovers. Marshall just took advantage of those turnovers. Peyton Illerton, I mean, my goodness, what a performance by her. 20 points. Nakia Chesterfield had a great game off the bench as well. And I'll tell you what, we were talking about going into this game as well. Tamaya Lewis-Utsi and Kristen Williams trying to get to 1,000 points. Missed the mark short both by 2 to 4 points.
6-point win for Marshall, 80-74. A game-high 20 for Peyton Ilderton. Tessa Grady also with 20 in this one. The Thundering Herd gets 10 from Tamaya Lewis-Utsi, 18 from Nakia Chesterfield, and 11 from Cassie Ingram. 16-3 overall now for the Thundering Herd. Again, or 15-3 overall, excuse me, for Marshall. That's win number 10 in a row. Believe it or not, the hot three-point shooter in the fourth quarter, Peyton Ilderton, is joined by Riley Burnett, and Riley will talk to her right now.
Safe to say you were feeling it in the second half. Just really tell me the emotions you were going through out there.
You know, it's always exciting when you go out there and hit shots, but I'm in the gym every day, so I have all the confidence in the world in myself, and I know once I see one go in, I'm going to be hot from there.
So you guys are still undefeated in conference play, and now you're on a 10-game win streak. So what does that mean for the confidence of this team moving forward?
It means a lot. I mean, this team has a lot of grit. I'll always say that. And next week's a big week, too. We go on the road at JMU and ODU, so we just have to have this same intensity then, too.
One final thing, the word adapt. What does that mean to this team?
I mean, we came down after the first half, and I thought we adapted the second half. We took away shooters. We found ourselves in our rhythm and offense more, so just finding our offense and getting stops on defense, we were able to adapt the second half. Thank you,
Peyton.
Adapt is the word that this Marshall team has written on its board in the locker room, and it says every game they have to adapt to whatever its opponents throw at it. Marshall picks up the win today, 15-3 overall, now 6-0 in conference. Coastal Carolina falls to 8-10 and 1-5 in conference play. A lot of thank yous I want to say for today's broadcast. Hannah Atkins, Gabriela Sevilla, Emma Turley, Noah Duncan, Emma Gallus, Bruce Lusher, Aniston Collins, Jake Maui, and Andy Walker, as well as Riley Burnett on the sidelines. Big thanks as well goes my man Finn Westfall. Big thanks to everybody involved in the broadcast today, as well as the sports information teams from both Coastal Carolina and Marshall. The Thundering Herd wins 80-74 here as Marshall is able to pick up the win to improve. Final score 80-74. For Finn Westfall, I'm Bobby Edding saying so long from the Cam Henderson Center.